The end of the tank has been prophesied more times than I can count. And the same goes for the helicopter. It basically happens every time a number of tanks or helicopters get destroyed or damaged in high-profile incidents. A good example of this is a few years ago when Turkey lost a couple of Leopard 2s in Syria, or of course the air assault raid by Russian helicopters in February 2022 in Ukraine. And now we have a new case, with Russia releasing footage of attacking a Ukrainian column that is composed of Leopard 2 and M2 Bradleys. This event, or rather the events as the pictures you are seeing show, the assumed result of multiple attacks, this didn't turn out favorably for the Ukrainians. It gives us, though, from an analytical perspective, a case study of what can go wrong in combat, and especially what the relative strengths and the weaknesses of helicopters and armor are, especially once they have to square off against each other. And then, of course, what we can learn from that. Again, here, context is king and queen. And the important bit is that, of course, we are limited to a number of videographic sources. And while these provide some insights, it is possible that more information in the future with different camera angles and so on emerge that change or add to the picture that we already have. But for now, let's get into it. Let's start by familiarizing ourselves with the Ka-52 and Leopard 2 for this specific matchup. Now, the Kamov Ka-52 is a Russian twin-seat attack helicopter known under the name Alligator, or its NATO designation Hokum B. And the Ka-52 features a terrain-following radar system, and for target identification, tracking and engagement of ground targets, it also features a day-night TV flyer optic system in a small turret. The usual caveats, of course, apply here to IR systems. They do tend to lose effectiveness beyond certain ranges, and of course you have to take into account the density of obscuring elements such as smoke or foliage. Let's familiarize ourselves then now with that flyer screen. Although it is largely blurred from the action that we saw, other footage gives us a better understanding of what we are seeing here. On the very top, we have the azimuth indicator for the gunner's view. Below it, offset left and right, the helicopter's speed and radar altitude. To the far left, the vertical speed indicator, and on the far right, the line of sight elevation. In the middle, we have the reticle of the gunner that is used to manually steer the missile into the target, and also an artificial horizon. And then to the bottom, we have the range to the target. And the Cyrillic TG indicator means that automatic tracking is in standby, and the PR indicator means that the weapon is ready to fire. Once it is fired, we see a countdown appearing in the footage. That is the impact counter in seconds. Now, the Alligator uses a laser rangefinder and designator for weapons employment, and the crew can be equipped with night vision goggles. This allows this helicopter to operate day and night. And its main anti-tank weapon is the 9K 121 ATGM called Vikhr, which translates to whirlwind. Now, the Alligator carries up to 12 missiles, equally divided on either side under the side-mounted wings. The Vikhr accelerates on launch to up to 600 meters per second and features a tandem heat warhead to penetrate armor, followed by a high explosive fragmentation charge. Its published range is 10 to 12 kilometers. Depending on the source, the missile is said to have a penetration of 750 to 1000 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor. It is also a laser beam riding missile, so the Kamov 52's crew, or rather the gunner, has to steer the missile to the target, and this requires the gunner to keep sight of the target and track it with that laser until the missile impacts. And then for defensive purposes, the Kamov 52 features chaff and flare dispensers. IR and electronic warfare jamming units are also sometimes equipped, and the same goes for passive warning systems. Then let's turn to Leopard 2. Ukraine has received both the A4 and the A6 variant, but I will focus on the A6 in this overview simply because that's the tank that we have seen in most of the footage for now. Now, the top speed of this tank is about 70 kilometers an hour on roads, somewhat less on uneven ground, but this makes Leo 2 a mobile platform able to relocate quickly and change its location. The tank in the A6 variant features a fully stabilized 120mm L55 smoothbore gun, firing different types of ammunition. As far as I'm informed, the ones that have been supplied to Ukraine is the DM-33A1, the DM-33A2 and the DM-53A1 anti-tank round. These are APFS-DST rounds. And then they also have an HE round, that is the DM-11 that has been delivered, and it is also likely that the DM-12 heat round has also been supplied, simply because that is just a standard loadout for the tank. Now in training, at least in the Bundeswehr, so the German armed forces, the A6 crews are instructed to use their APFS-DS rounds against helicopters due to the better ballistic characteristics of that shell. A DM-11 round featuring a programmable fuse for airburst is available on A7 and the Polish Leopards, making it now the preferred anti-helicopter round, but it is not used on the A6. Also, it must be said that at ranges of 3 to 4 kilometers, the chances of Leo 2 of being effective with its main gun against a helicopter drop considerably. For protection, the A6 has a multi-layer composite armor, and it is lined to prevent spalling inside the vehicle. The turret is generally equipped with external wedge-shaped modular armor, and explosive reactive armor packages can also be fitted. For frontal protection, its main armor on the turret is said to have a rough equivalency of 920 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor and roughly 620 millimeter on the glacis and lower front hull. The A6 also features 8 76mm smoke mortars for quick concealment with IR disruptor smoke that can be deployed near instantaneously. In sum, in a one-on-one vacuum matchup where, for now the tactics don't matter, the Alligator outranges the Leopard to A6, and in such an engagement the Vikhr missiles have a chance to penetrate the A6 frontally, though the probability of course depend exactly where and how the hit takes place. And Leo 2 with its mobility can of course relocate relatively quickly and seek out cover if the threat is spotted in time. And of course smoke canisters and so on can also then provide some temporary protection by obscuring the side between the Alligator and the tank. And these elements are important as we go into the analysis. At this point, also a big thank you to all the patrons and channel supporters who make this content happen. Your support allows me to be independent from the YouTube algorithm recommendation system voodoo that always goes on in this platform, and just make the content that you like. If you want to support the channel, you can do so via Patreon and channel memberships in the description below. You will have access to specific perks such as a free welcome gift, early access to videos just like this one, access to our Discord server, and also we have a full range of videos that haven't been published yet, for example conversations with Justin Brunk from RUSI, the Royal United Services Institute, that you can watch before anybody else. From the limited footage we have of the action, we can infer 3 important things. First off, the Ukrainian single file column includes 1 Leopard 2 and multiple M2 Bradleys. They are approaching single file most likely due to a minefield, as some footage suggests that the vehicles run into these mines as the action unfolds. Second, the Russian helicopters are in range of the column with Vikhr anti-tank missiles. The time between the missile launch and impact is about 25 to 26 seconds here. This indicates that the helicopter was operating at close to the Vikr's max range of 10 to 12 kilometers, given the missile's average travel time. And then third, there is no visual obstruction such as trees, buildings or smoke between the helicopter and the column, which could throw off the gunner's aim or obstruct the laser from hitting its target. It is important to note that it appears that Ukraine moved into this area at least twice, maybe even 3 times with some units. One top-down picture comparison shows this clearly, as suddenly additional Bradleys appear on one side of the first column that was attacked. It is difficult to definitely state at this point whether what we see right now in this footage is part of one, perhaps the first attack, or of any subsequent movement. Now I'll add that from the footage I have seen, the Leopards in the column, or the Leopard in the column, appears to be mainly damaged to the rear left rather than the front. Without more detailed pictures, it is really unclear to say whether the Leo got knocked out by a Kamov 52 or if other weapons including mines or artillery contributed to this result. As a comparison, there were other Leopards that had been subject to artillery bombardment in that area. Based on this, we can make some preliminary conclusions, although of course they must be taken with a grain of salt. Things may very well be different then this very limited number of angles, camera snippets, and so on, video material like this can make us believe. But with that said, there is enough to figure out the broad strokes of what's going on here. What are the main takeaways from all of this? Basically, a column of armor to be a target like this for a Russian helicopter, a series of things must have gone wrong. And this makes for a sobering analysis, one that is required if we want to draw lessons from it. First off, the route of approach and single file made the column an easy target to the Russian helicopter that could knock out one vehicle after the other. It is possible that this single file approach was chosen because of the mines. Second, the helicopter appears not to have been spotted before the attack. If they had been spotted, then nothing was done to counter them proactively through passive and active means before the action unfolds. Now, I lean heavily on the side that the Ukrainians simply didn't account for Russian helicopters or didn't see them. Third, although we don't know, there appears to be no air defense in the area that can identify the threat proactively and could protect the column. Using air defense systems in this situation is a big topic I will pick up in a future video. Fourth, it appears that even after the first missiles hit, the Ukrainians don't really know what exactly is hitting them and from where. And finally, the critical human factor that is often forgotten. Shock and confusion play a major role in combat, and the measures taken by the Ukrainian crews seem to exacerbate the problem. There is at least one video showing the use of smoke, though it appears to be used somewhat late. And the thermal imaging of the helicopter can deal with this smoke at certain ranges. It's more difficult at long range, so at a range that the helicopter is operating right now. But the smoke would definitely also be problematic for the laser. Also, as the action unfolds, most likely due to the minefield, the vehicles remain grouped up and thus stay an easy target. To give you a more detailed perspective on this event, I also reached out to a German ex-Leopard 2 gunner who got training on Leopard A6 specifically as well as a US Army attack helicopter pilot to give their take on the situation. Now, the Leo 2 gunner had this to say.
So first of all, I would go with the way of approach that they had. When you cross a crest, normally you try to come up with as many vehicles as possible at the same time over a crest. So you have as many as possible weapons as same and also as many as possible eyes to spot something. But maybe it's because of this minefield that was there that they are coming in a line. But secondly, you should also move your vehicle from cover to cover. But we saw that they were coming like on an exposed area without any physical or visual cover, like the tree lines that were more to the left, but also more to the right. And the second biggest thing is there the spacing that we saw on the pictures of the aftermath when they were destroyed, but also during the video that it's said that you have a normal spacing of 100 meters between the vehicles. And you can clearly see that this spacing was not given. It seems like they didn't really recognize what happened to them. That could have many reasons. For example, that this unit, this 47th Brigade, had basically its baptism by fire in this situation. And they didn't expect probably the presence of enemy attack helicopters and were more aiming at the ground-based threats like ATGMs or machine gun nests in the tree lines in front of them. But after several vehicles got already hit, we didn't saw any reaction to it that was possible. For example, popping smokes, retreating, and or getting into cover. For example, these tree lines. The vehicles like Leopard and Bradley are capable of deploying smoke, a big white smoke screen that can protect the vehicles. And normally, when you attack a column, the complete column has to react. Not only the vehicle that you especially attack, but there should be an order to all vehicles of this platoon or company that they all have to react. Because when the Ka-52 attacks a target and this target recognizes it, for example, and deploys smoke, the gunner of the Ka-52 can just switch the target. That's why everyone has to react. And this way of approach about this open field and also this very slow speed is just asking to be shot at by a helicopter. Because normally it's said you're going from cover to cover, and inside covers you can move slow, but as soon as you're on the open field, you need to go as fast as possible to make the enemy hitting you as hard as possible. Also, one thing that comes a bit to my mind is also maybe the psychological aspect of what we saw in the media before, that the media said Russia has no missiles anymore, all helicopters are destroyed. We saw this over and over again. And then suddenly this helicopter that were famously losses in the beginning of the war, like in the Kiev area, and it was back, and there was also no air defense presence in these situations, like short-range air defense systems like the Gepard, but also medium air defense systems like OSA. I think Ukraine is also using OSA, and those systems would have been capable of defeating helicopters on this range of 10 kilometers. But when you see the Leopard 2A6, for example, is equipped with thermal imaging systems that are at least capable of detecting helicopters at this set distance of like 6 to 8 kilometers. So it should have been possible to see them.
And then the US Army pilot had this to say. Based on the recent Ka-52 engagement tapes, the Alligators are finding success through effective use of the Vikhr missiles utilizing standoff and altitude. This tells me that the Ukrainians did not bring any effective radar air defense forward. If the Ka-52 can engage uncontested at altitudes of less than 1,000 to 3,000 feet and at ranges of 7 to 10 kilometers, man-pads will be ineffective. It is likely, without sensors or long-range optics, that the Ukrainian ground forces don't even know that they are being targeted by the Alligator. Helicopter sound does not travel far and would not be heard beyond 2 kilometers, and the Alligator would be a speck at best to the naked eye. The videos I have seen so far look to have taken place both during day and night. The video looks to have taken place during the night. The Kamov 52 would have to engage at closer ranges based on their flyer capability, but maybe their flyer sight is better than I initially thought, or it has been upgraded to engage at max ranges now. The flyer picture is pretty good compared to older videos I have seen. As for that video being shot at night, I don't 100% know for sure. Here's why I think it is. The contrast and the brightness of the vehicles indicates night. They are very bright against the terrain, indicating a significant difference in temperature. During the day, ground is warmer along with the vegetation, making the contrast much less so during the day. The vehicles would not pop as much as they are here against the background. I've also seen Kamov 52 videos from the recent Ukrainian offensive and in Syria during the day, and the operators would switch back and forth between flyer and a day camera. Day camera magnifies a bit more for more zoomed in picture, hence why they would switch back and forth. They didn't utilize a day camera in this video. In sum, this event, based on the available data, is a template example of how a helicopter can combat armor successfully. However, it also shows the conditions that are required for this to happen. There must be a free line of sight, there must be lacking air spotters and lacking air defense. The target has to be unawares, and the target doesn't then have to be able to identify the threat after the attack and also not be able to react correctly to it. The result that we see here is what you would expect given that context. Is the tank as a combat vehicle dead because of this event or any other event? No. In the future, we can learn from this, and I suspect the Ukrainians will absolutely look at this event as well and do their own analysis. On the flip side, is the helicopter a undisputed tank killer because of this one attack? Well, no. It can be effective as we saw, but even with some minor adjustments to how the ground forces operated in this scenario, it would have made it a lot harder for the Russian pilots to repeat this sort of success. As always, when you look at these situations, context is everything. And now a big thank you to all the patrons and channel members who support this channel. And if you're interested in supporting this channel further, check out the description. All my sources are in there as well. Big thank you here also to everybody who contributed this video, both on and off the record. And as always, I wish all of you legends a fantastic day and see you in the sky.